All right, Danny, thank you. Well, our in-depth interview today, with so much happening in Washington, D.C., we do have an opportunity to talk to the representative from Utah's 4th Congressional District about it. Representative Burgess Owens joining us live. And this is a recess week now, right? So are you in Utah?
I'm back home. Thank goodness. I love being back, and we're here until next Monday, and we go back again.
Fantastic. I love to see all the mementos behind you. Most of us have like stuff we bought at the store, but that's actually the real stuff, isn't it?
That's back when the body used to listen to what the mind would tell it. Long time ago.
Well, at least it did once. I don't think mine ever did. So that's good to know. Now, Representative, there is so much happening right now. One of the things that we mentioned actually or that we haven't mentioned today is this: you've gotten into this debate about reparations for the descendants of slaves in the U.S. and you've gotten some heat about that. So I want to bring up one thing that one statistic that as I was studying for our conversation. This is from the Brookings Institution and from the federal government, from the Federal Reserve. If we could show our viewers this, this is Vanessa Williamson from the Brookings Institution saying that the median white household has a net worth 10 times that of the median black household. So I understand reparations may not be the policy of choice, but isn't that a big problem that we have to do something about?
It's a big problem, but we have to understand where is our solution and where the problem comes from. There's a reason why I talk about my background, and it's very, very important for our audience to know that this is a country, no matter how you get here, that if you apply yourself to certain basic tenets, education, faith, the family, and free market, you can win out against anything else you're going against. And I make this point because when I was growing up in the 50s and 60s, days of KKK, Jim Crow, and segregation, it was the worst of times in terms of outside opportunities, but yet, because we applied ourselves to those things, the black community in the 40s, 50s, and 60s led our country to growth in the middle class, men matriculated from college, men committed to marriage, and the percentage of entrepreneurs. I don't know how many white Americans in the 50s were living in Liberia, Africa. I was, because my dad had just gotten his PhD at Ohio State, worked with a black college, doing research there. He went on to become a very successful entrepreneur, a professor for years. I had an uncle in the 1960s. How many white Americans did this? I had an uncle who was an engineer at segregated South who had a side-town business. He bought a plane and decided to take mail from Wichita Falls, Texas to Chicago. 10 years old, I was flying in a single prop plane because we were exposed to success. My message is this: where we are today is not about America, it's not about our past. It's about what's happening with policies today.
Yeah, but let me push back just a little bit there because I really understand what you're saying, and equality of opportunity is so important. But opportunity also begins. You start where you begin. And what we see in the actual numbers, the actual statistics are that anecdotally, yes, you've done amazing things, and so many people have, but the vast majority of the black community in America is not starting at a place where they're getting there.
And it's because
is that their fault?
Yeah, no, it's because of democratic liberal policies. You go to the state of California, 75% of the black boys in the state of California cannot pass standard reading and writing tests, 2017. It's not because of their gender, their genes or their background or 200 years ago. It's because they're put in failing schools in which you have labor unions who could care less about whether they succeed or not.
But poverty is far worse in places in the Deep South that have conservative leaders than it is in California, and educational attainment is in the Deep South, in Mississippi, specifically Alabama, Arkansas. Poverty is far deeper and more prevalent than it is in California, and they have conservative leadership.
So I want you to listen to me on this, because one thing I can tell you, I understand this process because I lived it. I grew up in the Deep South.
Yeah.
I know what it was to have a remarkable, successful community. And at the same time, I go to Baltimore right now, where 13 schools have zero proficiency in these black schools in math. I think we're at a point now which is really good for our country. I've been talking about this idea of choice for years. Mm-hmm. No child living in a poor community, being raised in a failing school, not having the opportunity to read and write, will ever succeed. And that's always been the case. So we talk about choice. Well, why is it that we have a party that does not give those same kids an opportunity to get out of those bad schools to go someplace else? We do it here in Utah. And so what I think is happening right now is Utahns now understand when our kids are not in school for a year, the disaster what happens. Just take this out, just take that empathy now and take it out to the rest of the country and recognize it's policies, not our skin color, that has put us in the position we're in today.
I look forward to talking to you more about that because I know that you're the ranking Republican on the subcommittee for early childhood education, and that's going to be a really important subject. Hey, the next thing that we heard about today is immigration. President Biden putting forward a big bill that would grant a path to citizenship for 11 million illegal immigrants. Those Utah's estimates are that there are 110,000 unauthorized immigrants in our state. They're about 5% of our workforce. 65% of them have been in our country for more than 10 years. Should they have a path to citizenship?
And this is where it comes down to each state, and every state has an interesting perspective. We should be making those decisions here in Utah. What
immigration decisions should be in Utah?
Well, yeah. Actually, I would say that the conversation should be with Utah and all the other states. We should not have these kind of decisions done by fiat. That's what legislation is done about. We have Democrats and the Republicans coming together. We understand that we're a place of immigration. We want to make as many people as we can to come through here. But let me tell you what the real major key right now for most Americans, including Utahns, we want our school, we want our business back in place.
But isn't immigration one of the very, very clear federal responsibilities? I mean, I'm not aware of anyone saying that it's a state responsibility to make immigration policy, is it?
Well, no, it's a legislative policy, and they're.
Yeah, so Congress. So this is a bill in Congress.
Let me finish my thing.
Okay.
I represent Utah. I'm a legislator for Utah.
Yeah.
And so our voice, the state of Utah's vision and values should be placed in D.C. And we have these conversations where we have legislation put through. We should never have a president dictating that Utah should have this open border process. Keep in mind what we're looking at, my friends. We're looking at thousands of people coming to our border right now. They're not social distancing, they're not putting on masks, they're going through different countries. And we're trying right now to bring down the COVID process so we can have our businesses make it open again. And yet we have thousands of people come to our border.
But those people, I'm talking about the tens of thousands of people who have been here for longer than 10 years, have been working. Should they be able to be citizens eventually?
Sure. Yeah. I totally
They should. Unauthorized immigrants should have a path to citizenship.
What I believe is that we should have a conversation on how that's done. I don't believe in a broad statement, a broad blanket. That's why we have these conversations with different legislators, so we can make sure the process works out where American people's voices are being spoken. So I will not say that everyone should be given a way to be into our country, but there are people that I mean, we talk about the DACA, that's one thing. We also have a lot of people waiting in line right now. What about those folks that are waiting in line, doing it the correct way? Where do they stand? Should they be put in the back of the line because of this process? That's why it's important to have this done.
It's a puzzle that makes your head spin. I tell you, I understand that. It totally does because of those issues. But those folks, you think there should be a conversation about a path to citizenship?
My family came through the right way from Trinidad, and they waited in line. Part of my family. So I understand the process. I understand how great it is to be in this country, but let's make sure we're doing it right. Let's not do this based on emotion, and let's definitely not do it by fiat. We, the people, should be having a conversation about how this is done. So when the end of the day is done where we feel is right and it's been done fair. And those who want to be here, that belong here, that deserve to be here, can be here. And those who do not meet the bar are not here.
All right. We're going to have to leave it there because we are out of time. But this has been a good conversation. I really appreciate you taking.
Can I just say this?
Yes.
Do never ever believe that my race was the race of hapless, hopeless people who were oppressed by white people. Reparation is an insult to my parents who worked so hard to command respect of Americans, and I'm a product of that. So no, it's not in our genes. It's not in our color. It's policies that get people poor, hopeless, and helpless. And we need to change those policies.
Okay, you get the last word, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us, Representative. It's a pleasure to meet you and to have a chance to talk.
I look forward to doing a lot more of this. Thank you so much.
Okay, great.